Hello everybody and welcome back. Today I'm going to teach you how to do a jetpack. So this tutorial might seem pretty easy at first, but if you're going to try to do this by yourself, you're going to see that it's a little bit trickier if you're not that experienced with Unreal Engine. You can figure that out for yourself probably, but I still want to do a tutorial on this because I think it's pretty interesting. So let's start. First I'm going to show you the what this is going to look like. So now I'm going to press my spacebar, I'm going to jump, and then I'm going to fly, as you can see right here. Then when I'm going to let the spacebar off, we are going to start falling. The only problem here is that we are going to start falling immediately after I'm going to release my button. I didn't really find a way to fix this, but it should be pretty easy if you're going to make some changes and all that stuff. If you know some physics, you should understand what I'm talking about right here. Okay, so let me show you one more thing before we start. If you're going to go on a high surface and then you're going to fall, you can activate the jetpack midair. Okay, so let's begin. This is pretty much the blueprint. So first what I'm going to do is to get an input action. This is going to be binded to our spacebar. And one thing, remember that you can bind this to whatever you want, but usually in games it is spacebar, so you can access that pretty fast while jumping as well. Okay, so the input action, you can get that by default, just typing here jump. If you are using the first person or the third person template, I don't know what about the other ones, I haven't used them. Alright, then what we need to do is that we need to create a variable, a boolean. Mine is called spacebar, so we are going to know when we are pressing the spacebar and when we are not. Then we need to do another branch. And no, actually, if you don't want to use a variable, you can get your player controller, easy input key down, and from there do a branch, and from the key just get a spacebar, and that's it. But I prefer using variables. Okay, then we need to do a branch. We need to check if our character movement is falling. Not actually the character movement, but that's where you need, from where you need to get the node is falling. Okay, then if it's going to be false, we are going to check if we are flying. This is a variable that we are going to use a little bit later. So just create it by now and do a branch and plug and get from the false launch character, or you can get jump, but make sure that is the function jump and not the input action. Okay. So basically those two are the same thing, but I prefer using launching the character. Okay, then from the is falling branch, we are going to get another branch. We are going to check if you are using the jet. So again, just create a variable, plug that into the condition, and drag everything out of false. I'm going to explain that a little bit later. Okay, so from false, get set movement node. From the character movement, set the new movement mode to be flying. So what it's going to do is going to let us add some movement input to our spacebar. So when we're going to press spacebar, we're going to get some movement input to our up vector. So I'm going to explain this again a little bit later. Sorry if I'm saying this way too much in my tutorials. Okay, then what we need to do is to set our variable called isFlying to be true. And then we need to set that is using jet to be true. And then when we are going to release the jump, we are going to set that is using jet to be false. And this is why we need to check this here, because if you are going to be using the jetpack, you won't do anything. I don't think there would be any problem if you would not have this variable, but it's better for making sure that it is going to work just fine. Okay, so let's continue. Then we need to do a branch. We need to check if you are flying. If you are flying, when we are going to release the button, if you are going to fly, we are going to set the movement mode back to walking, which is the default. So we are going to fall once again to the ground. Then we're going to need to do a custom event. So we are going to have here two custom events. One is going to be called start, and the other one is going to be called end. Remember, you can call this whatever you want. So from the set movement node, call your start custom event. From there, get the set timer by function name, and here we're going to create a function. This node is going to call that specific function every 0.1 seconds if it's checked with looping. Then from our end custom event, get on the return value, clear and invalidate timer by handle. So this is going to stop the timer by function name. Alright, so now let's get into our function. So what we want to do is that every 0.1 seconds we want to create a line trace, which is going to be actually a line trace by channel, which is going to come from a scene which is placed at the bottom of my character. If you want to place this right, all you need to do is go to here to the perspective mode, go to top and place it right in the middle, then go to front, place it right down here, then go to right or left and place it in the middle. Okay, so we need to get our scene into the function and get the world location, plug it into the start, then get the up vector and amplify that with a minus float, so a negative float. Mine is minus 100. So we are going to check, we're going to create a line trace that is going to go down. So it's going to go down 100 units. Okay, then out of the return value, you need to do a branch. If we are going to hit something, we are going to set the movement node to be falling. And then we are going to set is flying to be false. And then we are going to call our end custom event. So for a more clear explanation, what we are doing here is that we are going to check if we are having ground, so we are having any surface under us for 100 units. 100 units is exactly, let me show you exactly how much. So it's exactly this much. Is kind of from, so if I make this only 100, so it's from down here to 100 to 200 units. That means right here, so it's not much, but it's necessarily to be a pretty big value. Even it's not that big. Usually for line traces you should like 8000. For this one you want minus 100. Okay, so if we're going to have something that is going to block our line trace, we are going to set the movement mode to be falling and then set is flying to be false, and then we are going to clear and invalidate the timer by handle. Actually, just the timer. Okay, and then if you want to fly, we need to get, so usually in the templates you're going to have this somewhere up here, and it's not going to look like this. So let me explain what you're doing here. We are going to get our control rotation, and we are going to get only the z value. We are going to get the forward vector and plug this into the world direction, and then get from the same return value, get the right vector and plug that into the world direction. So this way we can move our camera up and down, right and left. Okay, then out of the return value we need to get the up vector. So we are going to let the engine know that our up vector is going to be in the sky. Okay, and then we are going to get an input axis. So in order to get that, we need to go to edit, project settings, and then go to edit, input. Then go to axis mappings, click on this plus right here, give it a name, and then bind that to your spacebar. Or if you want another binding, make sure it is binded to the same button that the jump one is binded to. Okay, so then get our move up and add movement input. Then what you need to do is to get an axis value, plug it into the scale value, make that to be a force, and then from the get up vector plug that into the world direction. So this way we are going to be flying. So yeah, this is pretty much all for this tutorial. This is a little bit more complicated to explain, but I've tried my best. If you didn't understand anything, don't hesitate to ask me in the comments below, and if you have found this tutorial interesting, don't forget to subscribe for more of my content, and don't forget to leave a like as well and comment down below what do you think about this tutorial and what would you like to see in the future tutorials. So guys, thanks for watching, and until next time, goodbye.